DeMar just came in here, by the way.
He did.
Yeah, for a second.
This is the New York Sports Machine on WICR.
Hi there, this is Sam Garcia alongside
John Nickus.
and Sports Blast Podcast. You know what this is.
Yep.
So we're gonna talk about something that I appreciate very much personally. NBA playoffs and what happened right before the NBA playoffs.
Right, it's crazy.
Yeah. So John, you want to get started? What happened last night
Let's
with
get-
the Nets?
Yeah, with the Nets. All right, with the Nets. So, the Nets were in that ninth spot, one spot out of the playoffs. They played the Magic last night, and the Magic aren't too good of a team. We know that. So the Nets really desperately needed a win, but they also needed the Pacers to lose to the Grizzlies, because the Pacers were in that 8th spot, and but what ended up happening was, the Nets beat the Magic, and the Pacers lost to the Grizzlies, so allowing the Nets to make the playoffs in that last spot.
Yeah. That was a crazy night. I was watching the game. Especially when we got down early, I was very upset. I'm a Brooklyn Nets fan, so. But the Nets were so thankful for the Grizzlies that Lionel Hollins actually sent a text message to Marc Gasol, because Lionel Hollins used to coach the Memphis Grizzlies. So he sent a text message to Marc Gasol saying, "Thank you for beating the Pacers, so the Nets can make the playoffs." So yeah,
Oh, that's nice.
yeah, I think so, right? It's the very least he could do it, right?
Yeah.
So transitioning into what happened last night in the West with the 8th seed, where the Thunder beat
The Timberwolves.
the Timberwolves. The Thunder beat the Timberwolves last night, and the Pelicans beat the Spurs.
Right.
Now, why is this kind of relevant? Because the Thunder are not making playoffs for the first time in about 4 or 5 years. The Thunder needed the Pelicans to lose to the Spurs, which is something a lot of people had happening. A lot of people assumed the Spurs to be able to handle the Pelicans last night. But no, the Pelicans actually beat the Spurs, earned the 8th playoff spot, even though the Thunder won last night against the Timberwolves and Russell Westbrook went off again. It didn't matter because
Tiebreaker.
Yep, tiebreaker. This again, like you said, the season series, the Pelicans won it.
Yeah.
So, so Pelicans moved on to the playoffs first time in God knows how long, and
Very similar situation for from the Nets.
just the opposite happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was kind of crazy. Russell Westbrook, if something kind of crazy happened last night.
Yeah, Russell Westbrook won the scoring title last night. He he does. What does that say?
Basically, what happened was Russell Westbrook won the scoring title last night, but he didn't care because he didn't make the playoffs. So basically, he quoted by saying,
he doesn't give a shit.
basically, correct, that he won the scoring title. Correct. So that's that. So now that the regular season's over, let's get into the playoffs. So,
All right.
John, what do you think about the Nets-Hawks matchup?
The Nets-Hawks matchup. All right. I think the Hawks take the Nets in not in 4 games. My bad. With a season, what am I saying? The Hawks would beat the Nets in 4-1. That's my prediction. What do you think?
I agree with you. I think they're gonna take it to 4-1. Hawks, too much depth, chemistry. They're just polished.
Defense is good too.
Yeah. Next up is the Cavs Celtics. I think this is actually gonna be a sweep. Actually, Kyrie Irving, LeBron James, and Kevin Love and the boys actually come together very nicely as the season was winding down. Celtics, they're just not. They have no firepower, to be honest. I put the fact that they're in playoffs, I put all that on Brad Stevens, their head coach. I think transition from Butler, the college, to NBA has been flawless, and he's been amazing. So Celtics definitely have their coach of the future. But what do you think?
I agree. I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
It's fine. What's
Move
next?
on.
Next one.
The next one, we got the Bulls facing off against the Bucks. So in that one, I would say the Bulls beat out the Bucks in 4-2.
Why?
Series. Why? Too much experience, I'd say. D Rose, he's back, so that's obviously he's gonna lift the team up there. Yeah.
Next up is Raptors against the Wizards. This is gonna be interesting. Paul Pierce going against the Raptors again for the second straight season. I got the Raptors winning this series 4-3. It's gonna be a very close matchup. I just think the Raptors have like the chemistry. They have like the experience from last year, even going through a very tough fought series against the Brooklyn Nets last season and losing it. They're gonna take that and they're gonna like manifest that, and they're gonna take. I think they're gonna get past the first round this year. I think they have it in them. I think DeMar DeRozan is gonna lead the Kyle Lowry is gonna lead them to this series, and they're gonna be able to take care of it. They have enough star power, enough defense, enough offense, enough overall to take care of the Wizards, who struggled badly down the stretch. So yeah, I think that. Now going to the West Conference, John. What do you think about the Warriors Pelicans?
The Warriors Pelicans. All right. I'm calling that a sweep for the Warriors. Just because the Pelicans, they're a very young team. Not as much experience as the Warriors. Steph Curry, he's had a tremendous season, and I think the Warriors just have too much firepower in their lineup. Would you agree?
I agree. Actually, I think the Warriors are they're dominant, flat out dominant. There's nothing that they can't do. There's nothing they can't do. They can do everything. There's a reason why they led the league in wins. Like, they can do everything. So Steph Curry is just having a dominant season. He's probably the MVP of the league. He's gonna take care of business the first round. The second game I'll talk about is the West Conference is the Rockets versus the Mavericks. I think Rockets are gonna take this series something like 4-1. I think a lot of people would disagree with me on that, but I think ever since Rajon Rondo came to the Mavericks, they have not been the same team at all, and that's kind of weird because he's always been a guy that helps ball movement, but I feel like ball movement's been worse since he's gotten there, and it's just that the chemistry's not there. He's kind of his own man on the court, off the court. Like, he doesn't he's just been like a fracture to the locker room kind of, and the Rockets cannot be doing any better. James Harden's been killing it. A triple-double last night. 16 points, 10 rebounds, 11 assists, I believe. So, yeah, the Rockets are going to take care of business. This is a year. I think it's going to end up being Warriors-Rockets in the Western Conference Finals. But that's just me. Next up is...
we got the Clippers and the Spurs.
What do you got?
I got that as being a tremendously great series, But if I was to say, I'd go with the... Clippers beating the Spurs by a score of 4-3 in the series. I just see this Spurs are getting a little too old, and the Clippers are young and they're athletic, and it's just like a run and gun game that they have, and they also have home court advantage, so that play as an advantage obviously on their side. But I think it'll be really close series, but the Clippers come out on top.
Definitely. The last game we're going to talk about before we call this podcast a wrap is the Trailblazers versus the Grizzlies. And this is a very interesting game. Very different styles. Trailblazers is very offensively oriented, while the Grizzlies are very defensively oriented. I have the Trailblazers winning 4-3. Another very close series. I think the West is going to be like this a lot throughout the playoffs. A lot of close series. But the reason I got the Trailblazers is because I feel like, first of all, the Grizzlies might be without Mike Conley, which is going to be huge. That's going to be a huge loss. Especially without Mike Conley, I think the Trailblazers are going to win this. But Trailblazers, Damian Lillard, LaMarcus Aldridge, superstars in their own right, offensively gifted, can't be stopped. They can get whatever they want, And I don't think, even though the Grizzlies are a great defensive team, I don't think they're going to have enough offense to match up with what the Blazers are going to put up. Even without Wesley Matthews, Aaron Flalo stepped up big time for them, and they have enough offense just to keep the tide rolling all game. And the Grizzlies, they got Jeff Green, they got Marcus Gasol, they got Zach Randolph, but their offense is never consistent enough. Never. They're always based off their defense. So I got the Trailblazers winning that. But on that note, that's a wrap for this week's podcast. Sam Garcia alongside
John Nickus.
And see you next year. Peace.